Food Economy Summit 2019. We have the pleasure to host Molly Anderson. She's a member of International Panel of Experts on Sustainable Food System. Thank you very much, first of all, Molly, to agree with this interview.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
The summit was quite interesting, and I feel privileged to have been invited to participate.
I've just listened to your speech, and it was very inspiring. And let's talk about what is your contribute here.
Well, I was asked to talk about why there's urgency in transforming the food system, and then what steps can be taken. What my advice would be to business, to researchers, and to policymakers. So I started the talk with the issues such as climate change, which is a huge problem we're facing right now. We've been told recently that we only have 11 years to make a major change in our business systems and the way we are using the environment to avoid passing thresholds beyond which it'll be very difficult to recover. There's another report coming out in a couple of days on Monday from EatBest, which is the intergovernmental science policy platform on biodiversity and ecosystem services, that tells us that the collapse of biodiversity is a problem as big as climate change. So we have several major issues now, and the way that we are producing, consuming food is contributing to those issues. In addition to the environmental problems, there's a whole series of health issues that many countries are facing, ranging from food insecurity to obesity and antimicrobial resistance, because so much of the microbials, the antibiotics, are being fed to livestock. So after talking about the problems, I tried to jump into solutions. I showed a few examples of city solutions at different scales, and then talked about the need for true cost accounting, which is a way to put a price on the externalities that businesses usually are not accounting for as they consider risk and the costs that they assign to food, and then the need to analyze and implement agroecology much more widely, and finally the need for democratic food system governance so that more people can be able to contribute to solutions to food system problems.
Yeah, and I realized also in these 2 days there was about the tourism industry, as we are talking to our main actors at hotels, restaurants, and tour operators here on Media Italy Radio. And I figured out that in all these panels and all events, when we talk about food waste or environmental issues, it seems like the tourism industry, hotels and restaurants especially, they are taken a little bit apart of this kind of contest. Maybe hotel managers or hotels association, they are not invited to join, and so they are maybe not engaged. They have no idea about this kind of summits or exhibition or events. What is your experience about it, and what you can tell?
Well, my sense is that the hotel industry, the restaurant industry, has been holding its own discussion. It's not so much part of the discussion that happened over the last 2 years, but restaurant industries and hotels are definitely moving in the direction of interest, much greater interest in local foods and sustainability. I know in the United States, my home country, there are many farm-to-table restaurants that have popped up where you can read in the restaurant about who produced the food that's being served in that restaurant and what practices they're being used. These are very popular. Hotels have been a little bit slower to catch on, but people eat in hotels too, and they're very interested in sustainability. There's a whole ecotourism industry that's been blossoming, and sustainable food systems need to fit within that ecotourism and agritourism, which is actually bringing people out to farms to stay on the farm and to learn more about farming. Many of those are farms that are using organic practices or sustainable practices, and it's a wonderful way to introduce customers to sustainable food systems. So I think the discussions are happening. They're starting to move into restaurants and maybe not the hotel industry quite as strongly yet, although sustainability is definitely an issue there. You can't go to a hotel now without seeing signs about leave a little sign on your bed if you don't want your sheets to be changed, or if you don't want your towels to be changed. But food is as much a part of that as overusing water. It's as important to sustainability as everything else that hotels are doing.
Yeah, in my experience, as you know, I do trainings, and also I give food and remarketing strategies to hospitality industry. One of the big challenge is about the mindset, and also about the waste of food, of course, and the mindset is related to. And what do you think about the level of training or awareness in hospitality industry to this kind of items?
I think much more training is needed, much more awareness building and assistance in helping people understand what can be done, what the prices are, whether they're price savings, or whether there might be additional costs that need to be recovered by perhaps charging customers a little bit more, but explaining why they're being charged a little bit more, because this is for sustainability.
Okay, and about the breakfast, it's one of my favorite topics, and one of the biggest problem is the food waste on buffet breakfast. Mm-hmm. And as I know, you travel a lot also. What can you suggest, or if you have seen any good or best practice?
Well, having buffets where people serve themselves instead of having a meal put in front of them, I think that can reduce food waste. But perhaps putting a reminder, please take only what you need to eat. Come back for seconds if you're still hungry. That could reduce food waste, because I think often people will fill up their plates thinking, oh, this looks wonderful, I'll take some of everything. And then they leave a lot on their plates.
Yeah, and there are some hotel managers, imagine 4 or 5 star luxury hotels, and they tell me, yeah, but our clients, they pay a lot of money for each night, so we cannot tell them you don't have to waste food or something like this. I personally don't agree so much, because it's also our responsibility to educate our guests. It doesn't matter if you pay €1,000 or 30 euro, and what would you like to answer to this question? And it depends also if there are people from Russia or Italy or Chinese people. Everybody has its own behavior, so there are some kind of clients that they waste a lot, and I really don't like it. It means like you don't have a respect for anything. So this is my opinion, of course. But what do you think about, and what we can tell to our general managers, because they think about the business, of course?
That's a dilemma, because some people are going to waste food regardless of what you say. But for instance, right here in Milan, I think it would be seen quite positively if there were a small sign that says something to the effect of, Milan is a city that is trying to reduce food waste because it contributes to greenhouse gas emissions, and it doesn't show respect for producers. So we invite you to join us in that effort by taking only what you plan to eat and coming back for seconds if you're still hungry. You're not telling people they can't have all the food they need. You're just saying, don't take more than you need.
Just maybe make 2 rounds or 3 rounds if you need.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I think if people are being told that this is part of a bigger initiative and that the hotel is participating in something that many people care about, I think that might soften the message to customers who might otherwise think, well, what's going on with this hotel? This is a really strange hotel. They don't want customers to take too much food because they're stingy. But if you are very clear that this is a citywide initiative and you are trying to do your part, I think it would be seen positively by customers. I would certainly see it in a positive way.
Yeah, because we are,
I'm
we are the perfect target. Okay.
Not a typical hotel customer.
Yeah. And by the way, what you were talking about, it's one of the layer of communication. So if one person see other behaviors, more people behaving the same way, so I'm more likely to behave the same way, even though it's not my usual behavior. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Peer pressure.
Yeah.
Or even the hint of peer pressure by being told that this is a citywide initiative.
Yeah, and there's another big challenge and problem in our industry. It's about the food cost. So even though I help them to choose the right products, I suggest them we need to choose local producers, so you can communicate on the menu, storytelling, engagement of the guests, and something like this. But they tell sometimes they blame me about but it costs too much for us. It doesn't matter if they are 5-star hotels or a bed and breakfast. So they always have the same issue, the same challenge. And so they tell me, but then there is another problem. This producer, they are not able to give us the amount of product constantly. So what do you will answer them?
Well, there are a couple of possibilities there. Number one, local food doesn't necessarily cost more. There have been many studies that have shown that local food can cost just as much. Organic usually does have a price premium that helps to cover the cost of organic certification. But many people are simply interested in supporting local producers. And if you are just buying local food, that doesn't always cost more. So don't assume that it will cost more. The second thing, if you are having trouble dealing with a lot of small producers making little deliveries of a pallet of one thing or a basket of eggs or whatever, and what you need is a truckload of food for your hotel, there are services in my country, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're not starting here in the EU, where local food producers are aggregating. They're bringing their supply together and then providing that aggregated supply to institutional sources like school food services that buy a lot of food, or very large buyers. So you might look for a local aggregator or help the local producers to aggregate. Say, we'd love to buy from you, but could you join forces with other local producers so that we could be buying from all of you?
Yeah, thank you, Molly, because this is the biggest point. There is a lack of communication between these two parts, hospitality industry and the local producer. They have no idea how to communicate. I've seen also in my seminars, they want to, but they are too shy, or they feel alone, or somebody thinks, maybe he looks at me as a competitor. So we're trying to do something more cooperation and less competition.
One thing that's been successful in some other places is to hold forums, or in my college we call them meet and greet sessions, where we invite buyers and we invite food producers, and they can make contact with each other. The food producer might say, I raise squash. I have a very large supply of squash, and I am looking for a large-scale buyer for the squash that I produce. And the buyer might say, well, I would be interested. Of course, I serve many things in addition to squash, but I serve a lot of squash, and this would really help me out. So they make a contract with each other at the meet and greet, and then they follow up later.
Okay. Oh, good point, this one. Thank you. And as you also teach in a Middlebury College, so and I am also a teacher, so we have also some students looking and listening to us. I see you have a great mission, and you are passionate. And when did you discover, well, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm passionate, this is my mission in this planet? What happened to your life? And
oh my, that's a big question. I came into food systems originally through ecology and environmental studies, and I realized that food is one of the biggest contributors to environmental damage, that the way we produce food, the way we distribute food, is creating havoc with environmental systems and ecological integrity. So I shifted into studying food and have stayed on that path. One thing led to another, and I continued working on food. I was originally most interested in environmental problems, and I have become far more interested in social issues and food justice, making sure that everyone in the food system has fair wages and enjoys human rights.
so maybe I can understand that it's about human rights.
Yes, very much. The right to food, the right to healthy food and nutrition, but also the right to decent wages for working, and the right to your choice of work. There's still many people, for instance, in the fishing industry in Southeast Asia, who live on boats where they are working under slavery conditions. And this is absolutely wrong. This has to be changed. So we need to be working toward human rights for everyone in the food system, producers, consumers, and the businesses in between, that they need the right to access information that they require to be current and to be as sustainable as possible.
Okay, thank you very much, Molly. And final question about the breakfast. I love this issue. And when, just to joke a little bit with our hoteliers, when have you find a wow effect? So what would you like to find on a buffet or the service? When is that moment that you say, wow, this is an amazing breakfast experience?
Oh, that's pretty easy to answer, especially in Italy, because I'm always looking for whole grain breads. I would love to see a choice of breads, and I'm sure a lot of people who come to the hotel want those white rolls. But I look at those and think, I want something. No, I want something whole wheat, and I know that they're available. I've seen them occasionally in stores. So I would say provide people an assortment of foods. Be sure to have a big fruit basket there, and cheeses. Cheeses are lovely, and the Italian cheeses are wonderful. But that would be a good breakfast for me. Yogurt, fruit.
Cut it fruit or?
I prefer the whole fruit.
Okay.
And to cut it myself and take what I want. But whatever is in season, ripe fruit and whole grain breads, or some kind of porridge that's a whole grain porridge.
Yeah, I understand the porridge for you Americans. It's a must.
Yes, we eat lots of porridge.
And okay, Molly, and just a quick suggestion to young people, young students that are just starting to work in this industry. What are you going to tell them in order to make the difference in this industry?
To make a difference in the industry, I think you need to find what people really need to be doing and are not yet doing, and then look for examples around the world where somebody is trying that. For instance, this idea of aggregating local producers. You could start that business in your city, and it could be a livelihood. or you could be the first truly sustainable hotel that is making a difference by serving sustainable farm-to-table food in your hotel.
Okay. Thank you very much, Molly. It's been a pleasure to talk to you and to get so much value. And I hope to see you soon. And if I also can help you to spread your message, it will be a pleasure, really. And
Well, thank you.
thank you. So let's just say, stay on air on Media Radio. Bye.
All right. Bye.